Hello, welcome back to Chef Aarti Sampath's channel. Who doesn't love chocolate chip cookies? They're definitely one of my favorite desserts. But today, I wanted to experiment with them. I have a basic chocolate chip recipe. However, I wanted to add some Indian elements to it. So I'm using some palm sugar, a touch of saffron, and some Himalayan salt. Not to forget buckwheat flour. It's gonna be delicious. So let's get started. So earlier, I made some brown butter. I just used 2 sticks of butter, unsalted of course, that I just heated up very gently. It took about 10 minutes to get this golden brown color. The milk solids in the butter have turned golden and dark, and that's going to add a lot of delicious milky flavor. We want to cream our butter, so it is very important to cool this down completely so it sets back as butter, and we're going to cream it with sugar and other ingredients. So I'm just going to break up this brown butter a little bit so it's easier to work with. Creaming butter adds structure to your cookies, so your cookies don't just completely get flat when you bake them. To my brown butter, I'm adding 1/3 cup of caster sugar. And then I'm using jaggery, or of course you can use brown sugar. So 1 cup of brown sugar. Palm sugar has, of course, these caramel notes. It's unprocessed sugar. We shall cream our sugar and the butter together. Once the butter and the sugar starts getting pale, that's when you know it's been aerated slightly. You can see how the color has completely transformed. Don't worry if there are little lumps of the palm sugar. They'll melt away when you bake it and you'll have little pockets of sweetness. In another bowl, we'll take all our dry ingredients, and it's very, very important to sift them. So I have my buckwheat flour. I'm taking 1 cup of it. So I have 1 cup of buckwheat flour. As buckwheat flour doesn't have as much gluten, so it won't provide structure to our cookie. So I'll have to use 1 cup of all-purpose flour. And to my flour, I'm adding 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Baking soda always has lumps, so it's very important to sift that well. Get there and give it a sift. This should be fairly quick and easy. All right, my flour is ready. I'll grab my butter and sugar mixture back. I'm adding some vanilla extract. This is actually vanilla paste. It has some vanilla bean, a little bit of sweetness. I'm adding my saffron, a good pinch of saffron. And then we have a couple of eggs that we have to add. So just adding my eggs. If you would like to avoid eggs, you can instead use a tiny banana, or you can also use some applesauce. Our wet ingredients are creamed beautifully. We have a sifted flour. So now it's time to mix both of them together. We're gonna fold our wet ingredients into our dry ingredients. When you're folding the butter into the flour, we have to be gentle. That's pretty important. We don't want a chewy cookie. So at this point, we don't want to move it around too much. I actually forgot to add the sea salt, so I'm going to add it right before I completely mix the dough. I'm using a mix of dark chocolate and milk chocolate. Always use the best chocolate that you can afford, and make sure it's pure chocolate, as opposed to like a compound chocolate. So I just like to chop them. It's fairly simple. I like using a combination of dark and milk chocolate. The milk chocolate adds a lot of creaminess, and the dark chocolate, of course, intense chocolate flavor. You can, of course, use white chocolate as well if you like, or just stick to one kind of chocolate. So when I chop my chocolate up, I make sure there's some small pieces, there's some big ones, so you have different pockets of chocolate when you bite into your cookie. So I'm about to drop my chocolate chips into the dough. I'm folding in my chocolate. Well, after you've mixed it, it is very important to allow your dough to rest for up to 8 to 12 hours overnight. So I'm just going to pop this in the fridge. Well, dough has rested for some time, not 12 hours, but it's been for an hour in the fridge. I am scooping them out with an ice cream scoop right on a lined tray. You can use parchment, that's perfect. However, I didn't have parchment, so I'm using foil. And my oven's been preheating for 190 degrees Celsius or 375 Fahrenheit. Right before I pop these in the oven, I'm grabbing some saffron. I just want to put a couple of strands right on top. And there it goes into the oven. The cookies are out and they're still super warm, but I have to dig into them. I've been so excited about these. So just taking a little piece. Oh, it's so gooey. That's phenomenal. That is absolutely phenomenal. You get that little saltiness. There's that mix of those two chocolate that I can just immediately taste. It's extremely creamy. And the bottom is actually caramelized. I think it's because of the jaggery. It's very crisp. You have like crisp bits. And that saffron is just adding like this luxurious aroma and fragrance. That buckwheat has kept the cookies so tender. It's like unbelievable how tender that is. And it's just creating this flavor that is unknown to like a chocolate chip cookie. I hope you will try this recipe. I really would love to know how it goes. And if you like my videos, please like and subscribe to Chef Aarti Sampath, and see you soon.